Hi guys, Michelle from Petee's Power Hour back. I feel like I'm doing these a little bit more often. I don't know, I just think they're fun. I got new tasting glasses the other day and I was like, oh my god, I want to show off my new tasting glasses. And I have a new setup because apparently my sister, who gave me feedback on the first couple that I've did, that the room is kind of echoey. And so I'm in more my soundproof room where I do my podcasting at. Have my little baseballs and Batman stuff in the background. So maybe that's a little bit more visually pleasing, I guess. Whatever. So, my tasting glasses. So, for years now, I have been tasting out of just a basic rocks glass like this one. I mean, these are perfectly fine. They're great. These are beautiful ones that I got for Christmas, years and years ago, and they're fantastic. There's nothing wrong with them if this is what you have. Traditionally, or professionally speaking, people taste whiskey glasses out of a glass that looks like this. It is a more tulip shaped. The bulb of the tulip has a little bit more focus to the bouquet. It's got a nice little base, so you can sit here and swirl this bad boy and not put your fingers on the glass because that technically warms it up, that kind of thing. So it's a nice, simple glass. These were not expensive. They were like $20 from Glencairn. I'll put a link in the description of what they were. But I got 2 of them for $20, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty cheap for a glass. I wasn't looking for anything fancy like Waterford or was it like Baccarat. I'll never be able to afford Baccarat, but like fancy glasses like that. Even though I do like a very thin lip on the glass, I just like the way that feels, and I feel like you get more. I don't know, it just feels fancier if it's a very thin lip on the glass. And I know we're getting like super into technical stuff like that, and who cares? Some people spot. But these are really good. They're really good value. They got really nice weight to them, which I like. I don't like a glass that feels very flimsy. So I will put a link in the description for these bad boys if you want your own little professional tasting glasses when you're tasting your whiskeys or any other liquor. Because the liquor I have in here today is Jenever. I talked about Jenever in episode 2 of the podcast and didn't really get too deep into it, I guess. And I've had this bottle for years now. I went to the Netherlands, just 5 or 6 years ago, and I picked up this little bad boy, Rutte in Zin Oude 12-year Graan Jenever. I don't think you can get this in the States. So this is definitely one that I'm just never going to do on the podcast. But I actually haven't tasted this in years, even though look how empty this bottle is. Like, I should just finish this thing. But I bought it because we went to the distillery and it was a wonderful time. They do all of their distillation in copper pots. They had these 2 like pretty small copper pots that they did all of their distillation with. They're in Dordrecht, which is just south of Amsterdam. It took a train. It was like a 45-minute to an hour train ride, so it wasn't that far. Beautiful little town. They had also a bunch of different liqueurs as well, so like cherry, blackberry, ginger, all sorts of different flavors. I remember buying a little 6-pack there too of the little liqueurs, but that didn't last long. Not as long as this. So this is a 12-year Jenever. Oude, you see on the label here, means old, but it doesn't technically mean of age. So old means just they're using more of the malted wine in the distillation versus young, which young in Danish, young. I don't know. And that one has less of the malted wine. So when I say malted wine, it's kind of more similar to a whiskey almost because they're using malted grains versus gin, which is not using malted grains. They're just using like wheat and such. So really cool. Some people compare them a little bit to a whiskey flavor-wise. But, I mean, it looks like a whiskey. A little bit lighter in color, so not quite as brown. It's a little bit more of that kind of light tan color to it. The nose is quite nice, and it's been years since I've had this thing. Little woody. You definitely feel the juniper berry in there Because they still use a lot of juniper berries in this, and a bunch of other herbs and such, very similar to gin. I mean, gin is Jenever in a nutshell. But this one does go through 12 years in oak, which is why you get that happy little color. It's just the base is also using more malted. Not completely, just a little bit more malted in the distillation. But yeah, lovely little nose. Lots of herbaceousness, lots of juniper. A little bit of toasty caramel notes too from the oak. Pretty. Ooh. So this is at 38% alcohol. And it's definitely got nice softness to it. You can feel the oak and you can feel the herbaceousness, but it's not the forefront. Like when you taste like not Old Tom gin, London dry gins and such that are like boom in your face herbaceousness. This is almost the secondary to the oakiness of the gin. So you do, it's like an oaky gin. Ah. Overall, I'm glad I bought it years ago. I mean, there are Oude gins on the market that you could find if you go into your gin section of your liquor store. If you're interested, pick a bottle up. They're kind of cool. They're really great in cocktails as well. I think the secondary notes of like the whole herbaceousness, like having this as sort of like a gin whiskey combination sort of kind of cocktail would be really cool. Maybe I'll play around with it with the last little bit that I have left here. Oh my gosh. Maybe we'll see. But thanks for joining me, guys. Check out Petee's Power Hour, my podcast. New episode, next season comes out on Tuesday. And I'm excited. So thanks. Bye, guys.